Hey guys, Vazzy back here, and in today's video, it is finally time that we look at one of the greatest NHL games that has ever been released. And of course, I think you all know where I'm going with this, that being NHL 14. So it's crazy to think that more or less in a couple of months, this game will have officially passed the 10-year mark as we get to that September-October mark when these games are normally released. And obviously a lot of people in the community definitely consider this to be the best NHL game just ever, top to bottom. The game modes, the gameplay, and just everything that this game had to offer was second to none. I will say that NHL 14 probably would end up coming pretty close to NHL 15 on old gen. That just being because there was a lot more features. Obviously in the new gen, everything was stripped out of the game and it sucked. But in the old gen of NHL 15, it was actually pretty solid for the most part and carried a lot of these things across. So actually getting into NHL 14 here now, have all the new things coming to the game back in the day. New collision physics, one-touch deeks, the Enforcer engine, and Live the Life. So a lot of really cool things coming from NHL 14. Also here we have the NHL 94 anniversary mode, true performance skating, and I guess returning Hockey Ultimate Team here in NHL 14. So loading into the game here, I think just like a lot of these games from back in the day, we do have the trailer of all the new features. Probably going to skip it here, not going to put in the audio, end up getting copyrighted or something. But we choose our favorite team, just like we do in all these other games, and get ourselves into the main menu. I really wish servers were still online. I'd love to go back into HUT. I'd love to go and check out GM Connected, everything like that, but fortunately we are a little bit too late for that. Let's start out here taking a look at the tracks like every time we do one of these videos. In the end, personal favorite song of mine, had it in the playlist probably ever since this game came out. Joker and the Thief. It's a very good playlist again. A lot of these games around that time did. And also custom music again. A lot of these games around that era did have custom music. Quick look at the tutorial if you guys never seen it. Wasn't too bad at all. You could add in every authentic goal song, everything, whatever you wanted to do. It was really, really cool. Who knows, maybe we'll see it back one day. I very much doubt it though. That I at least can see with licensing that could be an issue. Looking at the rosters here, one gripe I have is that you can't sort it by overall from this screen like current games. Small thing obviously. But yeah, a lot of these ratings and all potentials, all that stuff would be pretty similar as I've made videos from games around this time, 13, 15. I'm not too sure what order this video will be released in, but there are other ones coming around this era as well. Looking at the leagues here, obviously the NHL, AHL, SHL, the Liga, the Dell, the Czech League, the National League, the national teams, the OHL, I believe McDavid would have been in it this year, because he wasn't in 13, so this must have been his debut year. I'm not seeing him. Oh yeah, there he is. That old headshot, that was something to say the least. But yeah, you have all the junior leagues, just like we currently do in all the NHL games, the Legends team returns, and then just free agency. So more or less, nothing too crazy changing-wise there. I'm not sure what this downloaded rosters is here. I don't really remember this, to be honest. Fortunately, you need servers to get into it, so can't do that here today. Let's get into some of the game modes and everything that this game has to offer now. So we are prompted with the NHL 94 anniversary mode. This was new to the game. You have the NHL moments, which again obviously came back this year in HUT. I remember playing these a lot back in the day. They were a lot of fun for the most part. Some of them were a little bit grindy. Again, I'm not great at the game at all, but you had them from 12-13 and 13-14. I guess you had to download them. Again, I don't think we can probably do that at this point. But yeah, you have that. You have the Winter Classic. Let's jump into an NHL 94 anniversary mode game again. Take a look at some gameplay, just the intros, everything like that. So jumping into it here, we are greeted with the classic intro from all these, this era of this games, from probably 10 to 15. It was more or less the same. But in NHL 94 anniversary mode, obviously they tried to make it as close as they could to the old game, having the blue ice, the EA logo at center ice, the stars around the players to indicate that they have the puck. But also, this was just the thing in general, like the introductions to these teams. It's really cool seeing like Phaneuf there in the tunnel, skating out onto the ice. I know EA has done their own thing recently when it comes to intros and presentation for the most part, and a lot of it's been good, but I think we could go a little bit deeper if I'm just being honest. But yeah, with that all being said, let's jump into a game here, try out a little bit of gameplay here. From what I remember, it was actually really, really good. I forgot we're actually on NHL 94 controls here as well. And honestly, this was probably a mode that people really didn't play too much back in the day. It's really, once you play it a couple of times, you've more or less seen it all. It's the same gameplay, everything like that. But it was really well done for the time. Everything just looks really good. It looks authentic. The ice seems bluer than in some of the modes. I think they had it in NHL 15. I'm not sure if they changed the color of the ice surface at all, but definitely looks better actually right here from what I remember anyway. The skating, everything, it's got that nice combination. It's smooth, it's not super slow, it's not super fast. It's really a nice in-between from what we currently have in NHL 24 and some of the even older games where it was a little bit more slowed down. It's a really nice in-between overall. Yeah, I really do like this gameplay. Let's come in here with Cody Franzen, gets blocked in front. But yeah, I didn't want to go into anything too deep there. It does feel really good to get into the game and checking out all that gameplay again though. But yeah, with that all being said, the only other remaining thing here really in the game modes is the Winter Classic. I've gone over this countless times. It was so well done in these games. It was really cool, really authentic. It felt great. Find a way to bring it back in. The online, of course, GM Connected, one of the most popular modes and most requested modes nowadays. Hopefully next year we see it. Other than that, more or less the same what we currently have. And in the career, we have the new Live the Life, Be a GM mode, Be a Legend mode. Who were the legends in this one? Well, they only had the 4. I guess maybe in future years they added to make a longer list that I remember. But yeah, let's jump into a GM mode here. Again, I don't expect anything really to be too different from the games around this time. Obviously 13, 15, a lot of them, there's not a ton of changes in franchise mode if I'm being honest, which is a good thing and a bad thing. Really, the overall, when you're looking at franchise mode just from a distance back in the day, it did have a lot of those features we were asking for and requesting of, so with them not really adding to the mode necessarily each and every year, it could have been great. We could have had some more features in there that we all would have wanted, but it wasn't like it was really lacking anything or anything like that. We'll get into it here. Let's sim up a couple of games here in the preseason. Obviously, the user HUD is the exact same as it was from the past couple of years. Again, like I've said, I really like this look at the overall of franchise mode. I wouldn't mind if maybe they tweaked it a little bit just for a visual thing, but overall it was really good and well done back in these older games. Of course, sim speed, it's one of the negatives, unfortunately, with all these games, but it's all tech. Going to the GM tracker here, again, you had your reputation. Like Detroit, we had an A+, so you might be able to make trades easier. Florida was very low there, as you can see, so stuff that makes sense like that. Obviously, you have the team power rankings. Again, I'm not sure how they're really determined, but pretty cool. You can see if you're moving around team to team, like you can see I'm managing Tampa for a year, and then just the overall scouts and team setup there. Other than that, take a look at free agency here, see who was actually sitting in it to start franchise mode. So some pretty decent players there. I see Ginla at the top, Nick Antropov, Yager obviously there, Danny Briere, a lot of really cool names from the past. Free agency was pretty loaded there. You have Brizzy and Net, Tim Thomas at 76, Mike McKenna. Yeah, there's some pretty decent players available in free agency to start out these things. Contracts, again, no contract extensions, unfortunately. I don't think that would come for a couple more years. And roster moves, for the most part, yeah, exactly the same as the prior years. Regarding call-ups, send-downs, editing the lines, nothing at all really changed there. Yeah, I think that's all there. I believe you can pull up all that stuff from your phone again. Yeah, GM tracker, trade players, free agency, everything you need to do, you can pull up your phone if you wanted to do it that way. Coaching options, nothing new. And yeah, really, I think everything in that menu, there's nothing really new there either. But with that all being said, I want to jump ahead to a couple of special events that NHL 14 actually used to offer. So let me sim up ahead in the season and I will be right back. So the first thing I wanted to look at here today is the NHL All-Star Game. So if you guys didn't know, I'm sure a lot of you do, the NHL All-Star Game used to be in franchise mode and it was really well done. It was very simple, it was effective, no skills comp, anything like that, but the actual All-Star game was included in franchise mode itself. You go, you choose a team, every team gets at least one All-Star just randomly assigned, like Stamkos in this case would be our All-Star. I believe it's just all point-wise, whatever, it's a good way to do it. You can have multiple All-Stars, you can just have one, totally depends. It was simple, but it was in the game back then, and I don't really know why it couldn't return in a state similar to this. Like, if you can add in the current trade deadline minigame we have, I think you could probably add in the All-Star game. But with that being said, let me sim ahead to the trade deadline to see how that used to work in these games. So closing in on the trade deadline here, again, if you guys didn't know, we actually used to have a different trade deadline minigame than what we currently have now. The current one was introduced in NHL 21, and from NHL 16 to 21 or 20, I want to say, we didn't even have any trade deadline at all. But this is what we used to have before all of that. So basically each hour, you started with 4 hours, you have 2 different phones. So let me go in here, let me make a trade that just it isn't going to be accepted at all. Let's just go like Eric Brewer, give me Corey Perry. So obviously they're going to say no to that, of course. So that phone is inactive. So really you only get 2 chances an hour to make a trade. It put on a little bit more pressure. Obviously you didn't have the time constraints of the current franchise mode trade deadline, but you also could see everything that's going on around the NHL, just like in the current games. But yeah, I know a lot of people were asking for this to come back before we got our current trade deadline minigame, and honestly I prefer what we have, but it was actually a pretty unique, pretty cool idea for its time. But yeah, as you're simming through the day, going through the hours, seeing what's going on around the league, it is pretty cool for the most part. And I guess one thing you can say about the current one is a lot of people don't like how long it goes. So with this one, really, like, you can take as long with it as you want, or you can just skip through it like I'm doing right now just for the demonstration. Doesn't have to be long, but yeah, if you wanted to, you can definitely do that. But yeah, it was pretty cool for back in the day. Again, I don't really think we really need anything like this currently, but yeah, it's cool looking back on all this old stuff and how it used to be in these games. But I think that's going to do it, at least for Be a GM mode here. I don't know if I really want to jump into a Live the Life itself, but it really introduced the core foundations that we have in Be a Pro now. Your teammate likability, management likability, social media likability, and all that stuff, your brand, whatever. It was pretty cool, introduced in this game as well. But with that all being said, I think that's going to do it for my quick little review here of NHL 14 in 2024. Very, very good game looking back on it. If you have an older console that'll run these games, definitely take a look at NHL 14. Would highly, highly recommend it. But with that all being said, that is going to do it for today's video. I will see you all in the next one.